Healy, and I'm curator at the Royal Ontario Museum. And I work with invertebrate zoology there, so I work with a whole range of invertebrate animals, everything from sponges and corals to arthropods of various kinds, like crustaceans.
Cool. So the Rouge Park, is that a natural link?
Sure, I mean, I think the ROM is very pro-nature in general, and so parklands do a lot to protect nature and protect biodiversity. And, you know, in addition to being a research organization and a research institution and an education institution, we definitely also have a big interest in conservation, and of course parklands are one of the most powerful tools in conserving nature. And certainly based on the records we were able to get from, you know, various prior research done here, we know a good deal about what lives in the park, but we don't know all of it. So for example, I'm working with invertebrates, and the list is very, very short for invertebrates, despite the fact that they're incredibly diverse here, as they would be anywhere. But the list right now just consists of a few crayfishes and one species of mussel. So, you know, clearly there is a lot more here. It's just not enough research has been done in that area to really answer all those questions. It's a little harder to appreciate an animal that you can't easily see and you can't easily relate with by watching behavior, like we do with big charismatic animals, or with animals and plants that we rely on for our health, our sustenance, etc. But what allows all those other organisms to live, in many cases, is this complex food web, in many cases built upon a huge number of species that live, you know, beyond our ken, right? We can't see them, we don't run into them, we don't know how they're functioning, we can't observe their behavior, and thus we can't relate to them easily, and we don't think of them. They're out of sight, out of mind to us. So the whole functioning of all the ecosystems that we love and are so familiar to us, you know, they really color our perception of certain places, right? If you go to the plains, you know what that means, right? You have a mental image of what that ecosystem is. Well, that's built upon a huge complexity of organizations, not just the things you can see, not just the big things. So that's why I think it's, of course, important to care about all of it. The institution where I did a bunch of my graduate work decided that BioBlitzes were a wonderful way to communicate what we did as a research institution to the public. And that really is what a BioBlitz is about. It's a fantastic way of letting the common person who's not involved in science every day like we are come and see science in action. And they're so fun, not just for the scientists, but for the public too. So I think BioBlitzes are a wonderful idea. I do think they have a great value, not just, of course, as a public research, a public education tool, but also to create networks amongst those of us who don't often get together. How often are we, as say, invertebrate zoologists in the field with people who study fungi? Never, almost never, right? And people who study fish, and people who study birds and mammals, etc. So, you know, there are so many ways in which BioBlitzes are a very special and unique kind of endeavor, but also very valuable. BioBlitzes are about teamwork. We're gathering a huge team of experts to blitz this park, right? See and dig out as much as we can. And part of my job in this endeavor is, as I said in the email, to try and double our numbers as much as possible. So, many people don't think of a fox or any other animal they see, or plant for that matter, as representing anything more than that one species. But in fact, all of us, all things, generally have other organisms living in the nooks and crannies on the outside of their bodies and on the insides of their bodies. So I'm a parasitologist in terms of my research expertise, and so I'm particularly sensitive to that, and I want to lend that expertise to this event. Of course, with a roadkill animal, I can only do so much. A lot of things happen very quickly upon the death of an animal, and the parasites aren't something I can really get a grasp on very easily unless it's a very fresh sort of situation. So by and large, what's left now are a lot of insects that come in, lay eggs. You know, there's this wonderful sort of flourishing life cycle going on in any sort of dead animal's body, and this is part of nature that we should know a lot about. Decomposition is important. It's part of this teamwork message. I ask people not only to find roadkill for me to sample from, but also just to bring me live animals and let me look at them, let me look on their bodies and inside their bodies to see what other species might be hidden there so that we can double as much as we can the numbers that we're getting.
Cool.